All right, we're celebrating with our next interview with Stephanie Leach and Brenda Hammond and myself, celebrating Sacred Hearts Rising Courage Under Fire. Stephanie, so delighted to have you join us in the conversation today. And your chapter was learning to be courageous one lesson at a time. And then you also did the full circle on setting boundaries.
Yes.
So
yes.
Explain how it was to that first contribution to the Sacred Hearts Rising and what has transpired since.
Well, the first contribution, I actually kind of call the chapter myself, Wherever We Go, There We Are. Because no matter when it's all inside of us, so we can have stuff going on, but we might want to move somewhere else to make everything better. But that doesn't, because we carry ourselves with us, and it's the work we have to do inside to change. So that's, I think, a really important part, that we can't just go and move away somewhere. I mean, sometimes you can, but generally we got to do the work. And I kind of knew from the very beginning that that I had to do the work, that nobody else could change, that wasn't going to help. I couldn't change anyone else either. So the work that I did just kind of rippled out and miraculously sort of changed other lives as well, which I never saw coming. It was lovely. I had hoped it could, but I realized it was me who had to change. And if I wasn't going to walk away, then I had to do the healing myself. And it just kind of rippled out and made all the difference, and has repaired relationships that I never thought would be repaired. And people changed. I had a person say to me one time, Tira, who has been interviewed by you already, was working with me and said something about my mom, and I said, no, she can't change. This is who she is. This is who she's always been. And she said, don't you dare say that. You don't know what could happen. And I said, yeah, I guess you're right. She's always been like that, but I guess she could. And my healing rippled out, and it's just changed amazingly. I never have believed it. So we never know.
No, that's right. When I first wrote my first book, and that was before the Sacred Hearts Rising, my mom read the book and got really mad. And then she cried a lot. And now we are so close. And, just that whole journey. But man, was it a struggle in between,
Yeah.
But,
for me, my mom will never know that. And that was a fear for me. Brenda knows that it was a fear for me to put my story out there, because I didn't want to hurt my mom. I knew that she wouldn't understand at all, because she's done a great job of her life of putting up walls, and not knowing, because of her trauma and her damage, not knowing what she did her best. And, and I acknowledge that, but I would never want her to know. And now she's in this, the throes of dementia, and she never will know. But the fact is that my healing still changed, and she doesn't even realize, she doesn't know why things have changed. But that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. When you share your story, your energy changes.
Yes.
And you get rid of all of that negative thoughts and the negative energy that trap you into it. And when you shared your story, you released all of that. And when you change, then, like you say, the ripple effect happens, and then people will react to you differently, because you're not the same. You're not the same pool of energy. Now you're a different pool of energy.
Right. And what I found the most powerful, learning how to set boundaries and stand up for myself is what really, kind of got the wheels in motion. But also, as you say, that the energy, I learned how to let go of expectations and outcomes, how to deal with myself in a way that I could come to my mom with neutral energy. I did a lot of I would meditate, not overly, like maybe 10 minutes morning and night while I was going through the biggest thing in my life with her, which I tell in the boundaries chapter, but in neutral energy. So things that she says is not going to charge me. So that's the whole thing. It's our energy. You go in and someone says something and you're like, what? And then all of a sudden you're having a back and forth argument and you don't even know what it's about, really. It's just the tone or that energy that comes. So when you let it go and say, there's no charge anymore. It's a beautiful thing. There's no charge anymore. And I never could have believed, a decade ago that could be the case. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it's pretty powerful.
One of the things I found so striking today with all the interviews that are taking place is Brenda sent me all of the before pictures for all the authors, and every one of us that have got on, remarkable, beautiful changes. And just with our photos, what our overall appearance, everything looks like, every one of us have really made massive.
This lightness,
joy and lightness.
Openness and colorful and just,
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Truly beautiful. So as somebody picks up a copy of this book and reads your chapter, what do you hope they walk away with?
I think that for me, it was that I never gave up. I always knew that my mom had her challenges and I knew where she was coming from. I got my help. I always knew that I was never going to give up. There was something in me, a drive that and there was also never an option for me to leave the situation. The universe took me away to another city, but I was never going to leave her because I was an only child, or I am an only child. But I think the biggest thing is that if we're going to stay in a situation, we have to, we don't have to, but we're best to look at ourselves first and say, what can I do to change? Because no one else is going to change. Letting go of expectations and outcomes and knowing that to surrender. And I remember hearing that many times and thinking in the midst of my anger and chaos, thinking, surrender. How in the hell do you surrender? I just can't do that. But what I learned is it's just letting go of expectations and outcomes. I control nothing but myself. Yeah. And the same with all of us. We control ourselves. We control how we respond and how we react to what happens to us. Otherwise, when you're trying to control, like my mom has tried to control all her life because of her past life, you're trying to perfect everything. You're trying to make everything perfect. And there is no perfect. Well, there's imperfectly perfect, and that's beautiful. But it just got to surrender and say, whatever happens, I have done my best. And I might not like the outcome, but I know I've done my best. And that's all I can do. And I can try again, if something doesn't go my way, but I have to still let go and say, that's the way it is. And I did my best. It's not always easy, but once you start to get into it and practice it, then you start to really see what that means. And it's a beautiful kind of a letting go, and energy you can kind of relax and sit into yourself and say, okay, I've done my best. And, that's, I think, I believe that I am a kind of a spiritual soul living a physical experience. And so these are the life lessons that I'm meant to learn. And I want to be at the end of my life saying, here's the baton, on to the next. And I've done my best. I've taken it as far as I can. Here you go. Because I've been through a ton and I've done my best. And in between all that, I want to have fun. I want to have a good life that I enjoy, because that's where we get our positive energy to be able to do the work that we need to do.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. And Brenda, what do you have to say other than a big old smile?
Well, I certainly understand dysfunctional relationships with parents, mm-hmm. and how difficult those can be, because you do have expectations put on you, and you do feel that you have to perform like the circus monkey. And when you realize that it's not about you, really. When I learned that my parents' issues were my parents' issues, they weren't about me. I was who they targeted, but they weren't about me.
Right.
And when I realized not to take other people's crap personally as my own, then energy shifts. And that is one of the big things. I mean, my dad is 93, and, you know, he's like a cat with 9 lives, for God's sakes. He's got more health concerns than his car's got liver pills, and he's still hanging in there, you know. And I learned not to allow him to hit triggers. And
Bring
that
on
is
your parade.
yeah. And that's because I finally said, okay, what he does is not on me. What his decisions are not on me. What's on me is what I choose. And that's amazing. It's amazing. And like Stephanie said, like, you know, you release it all, and then you have a better relationship because you're not carrying all of this baggage with you.
That's right. Yeah. My mom is 90 now, and she turned 90 in November, and it's amazing. We've had this wonderful year. Well, we had this a year together, and then there's been 2 years of the pandemic, but we would never have had this time. We would never have gotten to where we are had it not been for the work that I did. And again, I did that work for me because I knew that if I was going to go on the rest of my life, I had to do this for myself. I did not. It was the most beautiful side effect of being able to repair a relationship. And not even, you know, not because I wasn't trying. I couldn't change her. I couldn't say, come on, you got to smarten up. I couldn't do that, right? It's not going to work as much as we want to.
Yeah. You didn't have the expectation of her changing for you. You had the expectation of me changing, and the ripple effect that if it affected everybody else, great, you know. And
And the other thing is, the other beautiful thing is that once, and I said this to my husband, I said, you know, I'm doing this work on, because I was seeing a counselor at the time, and I said, I'm doing this work on setting boundaries and standing up for myself. And no one is changing but me. So I'm going to start requiring more of everyone. If I feel that, you know, something isn't quite, you know, I'm not being treated, you know, whatever, well enough. And he kind of laughed. And then there was something that he said, and I said something, and he said, wow, you know, what's happening? I said, see, I told you. It's because you're requiring it of everybody, right? Not just that one person when you set boundaries, because I'm the one changing, no one else. And then, you know, as you say, they might think, oh, she's, you know, what's wrong with her? But then they'll either go along with it or they won't.
Well, either they'll change to adjust to your boundaries,
right?
Or they won't.
Or they won't, exactly.
And it's not
and
up
then
to
if
you.
they don't, you don't want them there anyway, really. I mean,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. They can go their own way.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing. Yeah, it's a powerful thing to stand in your own power,
right?
And to know that you're in your power.
I love this. I just like to read one little quote, if I may, that I love. Brene Brown said, when we spend a lifetime trying to distance ourselves from the part of our lives that don't fit who we think we're supposed to be, we stand outside of our story and hustle for our worthiness by constantly performing, perfecting, pleasing, and proving. And that's so true, you know, like, so true.
That's absolutely true.
Do it for ourselves.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you for being with us on this beautiful interview, and thank you for letting your light shine, because you do have a beautiful glow, and you know, and that's what it takes for all of us, is just standing up and letting our light shine, because those are the things that make a difference in this world.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be able to share this this second chapter, this full circle, because just as I was just as the book was launching, the second one I was in, Finding Your Wings, in 2019, I was just going through the biggest chaos. And so when I had submitted the book, the change had not come yet. And I felt a little disappointed that I wasn't able to share it. So this has been a really special thing. And I thank you, Brenda, for that.
Well, I thank you for being in the books and watching your journey and seeing you soar. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you for being here. And Brenda, congratulations on another beautiful book you've brought.
Mm-hmm.
You've
thank you.
been so instrumental in bringing and compiling for the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It has been, like I said before, a labor of love and a labor.
Yeah, a lot of labor.
Yes, you've been our leader. Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.